Welcome to L'strategyq Advisors. Our today's event is on the occasion of World Youth Skill Day 2021. The theme this year is reimagining youth skills post-pandemic. The World Youth Skills Day is celebrated to recognize the fact that if youth acquire skills, it will enhance their ability to make informed choices regarding employment, provided a unique opportunity for dialogue between young people, technical and vocational education and training institutions, firms, employers, workers, academic institutions, organizations, policymakers, development partners, governments. It will enable the youth to choose what they want to do as a career option. It will take place in a challenging context also, as we all know that with the continuation of COVID-19 pandemic resulting in the widespread disruption of the technical and vocational education and training, education scenario has particularly taken a very drastic disruption in itself. Young people aged 15 to 24 are particularly exposed to socioeconomic consequences of the pandemic. School and workplace closures, they are leading to learning and training losses. Major life cycle transitions are made difficult, if not impossible, including graduation from general education or the technical and vocational education and training at secondary or tertiary level, residential autonomy, and labor market insertion. We are happy to welcome our keynote guest speakers who are legendary in their own ways. So our speakers are Mr. Ramanan Ramanathan. He doesn't need any introduction as such, but for my audience, global audience, I would like to give a brief introduction. He is the first mission director at Atal Innovation Mission, the flagship initiative set up by Niti Aayog, which is the Planning Commission of India, to promote innovation and entrepreneurship in India. He is also on board of directors at Defense Innovation Organization and Indo-US Science and Technology Forum and chairman at NZTE Beachhead India Advisory Board. An alumni of IIT Bombay in electrical engineering, Mr. Ramanan has an illustrious career in the private sector in technology and worked in the leadership positions with multinationals. Our next legendary speaker is Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, not unknown to anybody who is related to higher education sector. He is known as institutional builder, holds a PhD from Queen's University of Belfast, UK, Masters in Engineering from DTU Delhi, and BTech from NIT Warangal. He is currently Provost of Marwari University, India, in the state of Gujarat. Am I right, sir?
Very right.
Previously, Vice Chancellor of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, and also the immediate past President of Association of Indian Universities, India. He was President of Manipal University, Jaipur, Director NIT Delhi, Director NITK Surathkal, and if I keep on saying, there are so many institutes he has been associated with. His achievements are like I can't cover in half an hour. Then our next speaker is Mr. Manish Chowdhary. He is a Chief Financial Analyst by qualification. He is founder of Skilling India and Peak Mind and former CEO of Tele Education Private Limited, a telegroup company. Manish studied biochemical engineering and biotechnology from IIT Delhi, and then he did his MBA from IIM Bangalore. He has more than 20 years of experience across high growth enterprises in various facets of management, helping create and grow businesses both organically and by acquisitions. Welcome all of you on our panel. We are honored to have you on our panel. So I will request first Ramanan sir to please share your insights on what is going to be the future of skill development in India and what are the initiatives taken, at your level. You are at such a senior position in Government of India.
Thank you, Dr. Vaneeta, for that very generous introduction, and good morning to the very esteemed panelists who are there on this particular call. It's going to be a pleasure and it is a privilege to be able to share the panel with such illustrious speakers. Also, good morning to all the people who have logged on to this particular call on World Youth Skills Day. I hope every one of you is safe and healthy in spite of these difficult COVID-19 circumstances, and that all of you are following the safeguards that have been advocated by your universities, by your institutions, by the local government or by the local health authorities. Indeed, this is a topic that is upmost in almost every student's mind, whether he or she is from a school, from a university, or even working in the industry. After all, the world is changing rapidly, as has been seen during the COVID-19 crisis, and a new world order is definitely going to be in place in a post-COVID-19 world. We are living in a world where technology is changing the very shape of the world that we all are living in. It is becoming all pervasive and all prevalent in everything that we are doing, and that is obvious from this particular call that we are having together. In spite of the difficult circumstances that we are all involved in, as well as in the various situations that each of us is individually having to experience because of national lockdowns that is creating grievous disruption to lives, livelihoods, grievous disruption to the supply chains in the country as well as in the world, we are still being able to manage life to the best possible way that we can do it. And that's all because of technology that is enabling all of this. We are, of course, all the young students who are out there and who are probably logged on to this call. This is, while COVID-19 has been a grievous disruption, which none of us want, and has created a fear of uncertainty about what the future is going to hold, it has actually opened up a new avenue, a new vista of golden opportunities for every one of you to avail of as we go forward. And that's the way we have to look at this. After all, if you want to be the problem solvers of the world of tomorrow, if you want to be the architects of a different world order that we all should be living in, a better world, a happier world, a world which is able to address the challenges, the millions of challenges that we have in our country and the challenges which are there in the rest of the world, this is the opportunity for you to relook at what you can do to contribute and create that world of tomorrow. Now, if you want to do that, obviously, you need to be able to acquire the latest skills that are prevalent and upon which solutions of tomorrow are being built. And that's why this World Skills Youth Day acquires a new dimension of importance from all of us, whether we are involved as students or whether we are involved as teachers in universities or faculty or management of government institutions running educational programs across the country. And India has a very big role to play. After all, we are 1.3 billion people, where 65% of our country is under 35 years old. And we have what they call as a demographic dividend, which is the envy of many a country. Now, how do you galvanize and energize this demographic dividend to play a transformatory role in the evolution of our nation and to become a leader in a knowledge economy, knowledge-based economy that is sweeping the world all across? And that is why the new education policy, the NEP 2020, which was launched last year, brought great focus on seeing how to leverage this demographic dividend and enable and empower every student with access to education, the highest forms of education, irrespective of where they are. And after all, our country is very large. We have 650,000 villages in our country. We have 715 districts. We have 115 of them as aspirational districts. And we have schools and colleges, 1.4 million schools, 10,500 engineering and related institutions, 39,000 colleges in the country. And we have more than 150 million young students all across, spread all across our country to become the transformers of tomorrow or the transformation agents of tomorrow. How do you become the change that you want to see, as the great Mahatma Gandhi said? And for that, we need to empower our youth with vital knowledge, vital skills that are relevant to the 21st century, not skills that are outdated and which we have been learning so far, but which is not going to take us further. And that is why government initiatives like the NEP 2020 or the Atal Innovation Mission, which was launched in order to create this tremendous environment where you are not only acquiring the latest knowledge that the world is offering and upon which and without which you will not be able to operate, but also it is creating that spirit of innovation in every one of us so that we can become problem solvers of tomorrow. It is not enough for our skills to be acquired just for the purposes of passing an exam, going into a higher university, going into a university abroad, or becoming a job seeker. Can we not acquire those vital skills which not only enable us to become job seekers, but also to become the job creators of tomorrow? And that is how thousands of tinkering labs with the latest of technologies like 3D printers, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality, do-it-yourself kits are being implemented in thousands of schools across the country. We have now more than 10,000 tinkering labs with more than 8,700 of them operational today, and more than 4 million young students acquiring those latest skills which are needed to operate in the world of tomorrow. Skills are not only from a technology point of view, but there are many other skills that this young student today, whether it is in university or in school, has to acquire. Critical thinking skills, design thinking skills, skills related to communication. How do you communicate in a world that is operating in social media, where the phone, the smartphone is available to you at your fingertips to be able to access the world and to reach across to the rest of the world? How do you ensure that you operate in a safe, cyber secure environment? You need to know those skills in order to be able to operate in an environment, not only for yourself, but also for your children and for your students who are going to be using them. How do we ensure that they acquire skills related to teamwork? Because teamwork and innovation is all based upon how do we learn to work together. And this is a globally connected world with a globally connected economy because of digital transformations that are happening and sweeping across the world. That's how we want to ensure that people who are in Salem can reach San Francisco, or from Sikkim to Seattle, or from Jodhpur to Japan, not only for the purposes of reaching across and getting to know each other, but for the purposes of commerce, for the purpose of learning, for the purpose of joint research, for the purpose of joint innovation. These are all very vital skills that our young students have to imbibe. And therefore, the government has launched on a series of initiatives, not only to address fundamental literacy and numeracy requirements, knowledge of numeric mathematics and so on and so forth in our schools and in our remote schools in every district of our country, but also to create the spirit of innovation through the Atal Tinkering Labs and many similar initiatives. And when you go to the university, at the university level, we need to create that ecosystem which is going to convert higher degree of knowledge and higher degree of learning through the technology institutes or through the management schools to be able to acquaint themselves with skills that are needed in tomorrow's world. I'm sure Dr. Sandeep and Manish are going to be elaborating a lot more because they are practitioners on the ground who are actually doing this on a day-to-day basis and seeing the impact of young Indians as well as the youth of the world acquiring these new skills, whether they are from India or from any other part of the world. And one more thing that is very important when we look at all of this is how do we also nurture great teachers? How do we ensure that teaching becomes a very attractive profession for the best, the creme de la creme in our country and across? We have great diaspora of Indians who are in different parts of the world. I know that Dr. Sandeep's university is already having a plethora of international students who are coming here because the knowledge that you are able to get in India through the practical exposure to challenges that we have. We are a country with 1 million challenges, but 1 million opportunities. And these 1 million opportunities can spawn thousands of entrepreneurs, startup creators, and so on. We are already one of the fastest growing startup nations of the world. More than 55,000 startups, more than 400 incubators, and we are already in top 48. We are in the 48th position in the Global Innovation Index. All of this can be amplified by our focus on acquiring the skills that are relevant to today's world and for tomorrow's world. I'm sure every one of you is already launched on that journey, and I wish you all the very best as you launch on this irreversible journey of acquiring new skills and being able to contribute and make an impact. As the great Steve Jobs said, leave a ding in the universe How do we leave a ding in the universe by the acquisition of new skills and knowledge that we can apply in our daily lives and create a better world for all of us to live in? Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share a few thoughts on this occasion.
Thank you, sir. That was really, good to know what government is doing and what you are spearheading, as a representative of government, doing such great job bringing Atal Tinkering Labs to schools, to colleges, to universities, and thousands of them. It's not like hundreds or 200s. They are, and everybody, we talk to in academics, they want to get associated with these incubation centers in some way. Our next speaker, I'll welcome Professor Sancheti to please share your knowledge and experience.
Thank you and good morning, Dr. Vaneeta Aggarwal and also L'strategyq for this opportunity in inviting. Very, very happy to join the esteemed panel of learned Ramanan sir and also Manish Chowdhary ji. It's always there to gain something from these interactions. And I was very fortunate last week, same time, same day, that we are discussing something with Ramanan sir together on a similar platform. And thank you for that, sir. And also thank you for setting the tone right now for today's webinar. And it's obviously on celebrating the World Youth Skill Day, which probably is the 7 years completed. So it must be the 8th year of the World Youth Skill Day celebrations. And I heartily congratulate everyone. And the reason for that paradigm. We are all now basically wanting to adapt to a given situation and also deliver our best and obviously reap the best of the benefits which we can. And changing paradigm is the real demand for what we call the skills. Let's take a case of who is the real job provider. I'm an educator. I easily think we give degrees and people look at the degrees and therefore give the jobs. I don't think so that's going to be any more true. A person with degree may have the knowledge, but with the knowledge, they should have a skill also that how to deliver that knowledge to a reality or real situation. And only then you will find that the knowledge is of some use. And therefore, knowledge combined with the skill will be the real thing. Knowledge can be applied only if you have the skill to apply that. And that's the important aspect. And that's why skills are gaining importance, in my opinion. And best of the graduates, I may be the topper of IIT or any institution, my teachers will still expect me to have certain skills. My employers will still expect me to have certain skills. Skills have been named time and again from variety of forums that which are the skills and attributes which we want. But we know that skills are also related to the technologies. Once a technology changes, we need to know how to use that to apply that particular skill or deliver that particular performance which an employer would probably expect. And therefore, and knowledge is changing fast, technology is also changing fast, and so is the case with the skill is also changing fast. And every year we possibly get some of the lists of the skills which our students should acquire. And we always generally tend to talk about these are the skills which Western world has said, these are the ones in India or whatever. In my own university, which I'm representing currently, the Marwadi University, very recently we have decided on the 10 graduating skills which we should deliver to our students. Now we are trying to map them in our some of the measurements which are there, and then only we'll be able to say whether we have been able to do like we do the educational parameters mapped as the COs and POs, project program objectives and course objectives and all that. In a similar fashion, we should have SOs, the skill objectives. What are the objectives? Have we attained them? Have we measured them? Have we tested them? And we are going to do that. The work is still on, so I'm not able to share all the details. But the skills can be as common as communication skills, very fine. Here, I would like to say for communication skills, most of us in India have adopted a philosophy called deliver a capsule if the skill is missing. It's like making a body, if there is a deficiency in your body, making a body by giving a capsule of iron or capsule of something, vitamin, protein, whatever is needed. I don't think so it can be done that way. We need to have new approaches for delivering those skills. But then skills like leaderships are very important. Skills like problem solving and critical thinking are already being talked about, and a lot of things are being done. So we have a dedicated 10 skill sets. We didn't want to make it too many, and that's why we limited it to 10, prioritized based on the basis of what our students said and what our faculty felt. So that is the importance of the skill, and skills are and should be merged with the mainstream. That is my important point I want to make. Unfortunately, in India, skills are seen as a separate track. Skills are seen to be different from the mainstream, if I can say, of the education, which is not good. We have created universities. Every state possibly today has a skills university. Why should there be a skills university? This university, all universities should be delivering skills, and all the skill universities should also be delivering the common education which is there rather than this. Unfortunately, those skills universities are not very sought after. Though they have created best of the facilities, they have not yet received the attention of the seekers of the skills, particularly the young students, because probably there is a societal angle to that. They see this to be slightly substandard. They see it to be something which is not going to give them the social status which is there. So we need to correct it. I'm going to make a point or two about that. But since you made a mention that I'm from the higher education domain, and what is the NEP doing for that? I'd like to make one or two points very, very clear to you. From my side, today, skill is the job provider, knowledge is at the back end, and skill is at the front end. We know that in the software industry, how back end and front end and UI and UX we keep talking about. So let's see the importance of the skill. And I think in that context, I give more weightage to skills these days compared to the conventional education. Skill is what one should know. And keeping in that mind, I had major role to play in two of the schemes which are on anvil from the UGC or the Government of India. One of the scheme is called as the Academic Bank of Credit. And I've been one of the architects along with few other people. And the scheme is going to see light of the day immediately. The best part of that scheme, which makes me happy, is the vocational courses, the skill courses done from time to time, done from different institutions, are going to get the same weightage for credits as any other course done from any IIT or NIT or Marwadi institution or anywhere. It will be getting the same weightage without much of ado. With that, they can make a degree as they like. The skills which one wants to acquire, they can acquire all those skills rather than a standard prescription and still make a degree, and that degree can be called as the as a bachelor of liberal education. Liberal basically means liberal in every sense. Whether you wanted to do design courses or theory courses, or you want to do skill courses or language courses, you wanted to do in any sense, everything will be there. You wanted to do it in industry, you wanted to do in educational institution, you wanted to be doing it self based courses, all those will be taken care. So ABC is a huge platform which is going to come up, which will be a leveler as far as the recognition for the skills is concerned. And I'm sure the skill agencies or skill based agencies which are delivering those will take advantage of that and make sure that there is no differentiation in that, and everyone enjoys that. Let me also tell you, once I get a degree, which may be BTech, MTech, whatever, PhD, I probably rest of my life from 25 to 75. Let's say I've acquired my PhD at 25 or 30, and I'll work for 40 years, 70, 75 age. Then in that case, in most cases, I'll require new skills. For example, today, let me confess that I may not have the skills to handle the Excel very, very nicely, though most of the things have started coming in terms of decision making because of the data on that. Reason for that is I never required that skill, but today I require that skill. Now, how would I learn it? I would learn it from any agency, and if I want, it should get me a recognition in form of anything, and that is what ABC provides. That is number one. Number two is the second scheme. We call it blended teaching learning, and this blended teaching learning is also an anvil, and we are now going to open the floodgates that everything cannot be face to face. Now, teaching learning cannot be face-to-face. Attendance will not be compulsory. You can learn from MOOCs, you can learn from labs, you can learn from virtual labs. And when you do that things from virtual lab, the beauty is it's always available to you 24 into 7. It's always available to you in terms of completeness. It can always be done individually and so on and so forth. And therefore, it's much deeper involvement in what you are doing experientially or experimentally. And more than that, haptic tools and other things can also come up in a big way, which will save the cost, save the time, and yet check your accuracy, measurements, your skills, your performance, even in the physical skills where you are doing something on the in a workshop and all that. So once the blended teaching learning is allowed, people can learn skills from wherever, whatever modes they want, like we do. Learning the flying the aircraft is flight simulator. If I can learn how to fly an aircraft in simulation, I can learn the other skills also while I can do it electronically. I can do physically also. There is no stopping of that, but blending will facilitate it. Otherwise, if I'm sitting in a small town, I cannot go to Bombay and Delhi to learn those skills where the centers are there. But otherwise, in the blended mode, I can do. So these two are the avenues which are there, which are going to help under the new NEP in terms of that. NEP has equivocally said nothing should be differentiated. A degree is degree and an attribute is an attribute. You have the knowledge, you should have the skill to apply that, without which I think the multiplication would be zero. And I would also say that there is another indirect thing which is there. AICT and some other agencies for professional courses have already laid huge emphasis on what we call the internships. Internships after first year, internship after second year, third year, something in the villages and rural India, something in industry, something on their own, something like that. So after every year, they want internship. Internship will make sure that there is a hands-on component. They dirty their hands. They are not just simply white-collared kind of a person. They will know the problems, and once they know the problems, they will think about it, and then they'll become the problem solver, and then they'll develop the problem solving skill. So like this, you possibly can say that indirectly or directly, the new education policy is enforcing and ensuring things which are there. They have started schemes like UWork, where they're going to showcase how to design a big, let's say, bridge which is there, and how to design a big tunnel which is there. So people will get hands-on thing, and hands-on things, in my opinion, are the biggest skill. Now, I'll conclude with 2 points from my side, not very much in terms of detailing, if you permit me. Number one, there is a problem in our country in terms of skill, and which I started with, that the society would not accept that. My societal status changes. Some of us will have to drive that. Let people know in the society that a fitter, a welder, a carpenter, or any such attribute or any such business one does or skill one has is equal to an engineer, or vice versa. An engineer cannot survive without them, and they cannot survive without an engineer if they are comparing something like that. But there can be many other attributes in other domains, let's say journalism, mass communication. People who do good video editing or do good graphics and all that are wonderful. That's a skill. And therefore, one should not differentiate. Even if I'm able to drive my car very nicely at a high speed, and I'm a high-speed car racer, a heavy-duty truck driver, it's a skill I have, and it should be respected. So that is one. The society should change and never attach skill to a qualification. Skill to be a skilled. It's as simple as that. And that societal change, I do not know how will you drive it, madam, but I would expect L'strategyq to do something on this, write notes, put things in media, let people be forced to talk about that, hey, don't look at someone with a class and category. I think that's something important message on this day from my side for society. And the second thing, generally in India, skill is delivered in a non-formal way, and the education is delivered in a formal way. Education is delivered through universities. For skills, we are still finding the best answers how to deliver it. And we call one of them as formal, another as a non-formal. 10 years back in 2010, I was part of an AICT drive that if we can merge something like this, can we recognize non-formal education in a formal way? For example, DOE, ACC, ABC certifications were in the skills form broadly that we generate the IT manpower. And they were trying to see that can they be given equivalences of BTech, whatever MTech for their job's sake. And at that point, we started thinking about this aspect. Can the non-formal and formal education be merged? And my answer is a big, big yes. We should not have any boundaries. They overlap each other, they sit over each other, they work and they move with each other. I think that's another message I would like to give on this special day of World Youth Skills Day. So with that, I'd like to close, but I'll be open to any suggestions and questions later. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Those were beautiful messages and very important, very significant. And I was, reading yesterday only one of the process has just started because now the placements are happening. So one of the university had big advertisement. It was on LinkedIn only, and it said our student MBA student has got a placement with paycheck. Why that is displayed? It has created so much of differentiation in the society that उसका बेटे को ये चेक मिला है या ये सैलरी मिली है, तुम्हें नहीं मिली। एक तो पहले हम 12th के बाद जो मार्क्स का है, एक तो उससे हम स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं कि बच्चों
वो
में
भी चेक ही है मैडम, वो एंट्री का चेक है।
राइट, वो एंट्री का चेक है। तो वन वे वी आर स्ट्रगलिंग टू move away that system, and then comes after you are getting a job after 4, 5, 6 years of education, you are getting a job, then again that peer pressure comes into play, where you are getting a job and secondly highlighting. So why not higher education institute? At least they can highlight, yes, our so and so students have got placement, they are in job, they have got achieved job, but why to highlight the paychecks? Because
they should highlight their skills. It is because of these skills they have got the job. I think that philosophy
that
should be
is more important. Yes, what they are imparting to the student, not the salary check. Because India, in other ways also, it may put that person whose salary check they are highlighting to a danger group also. When you are publicly announcing, it may put that person and that family in a danger zone also.
Yeah, very right. And let me make one small point here before you call Manish ji. Look at the importance of the skill. Forget about the education. We are relating it too much to education. Suppose I'm uneducated, but I'm a good cricketer. I'm like Sachin Tendulkar or parallel to him. Or I'm like Om Puri or Nasiruddin Shah in terms of acting. These are pure skills, irrespective of education or no education. I'll be recognized by the world and paid heavily. That is the importance of the skill, and the world has to understand that unwanted connection with education in comparison in terms of skill is probably not good. I think that should be pushed forward, that skill has its own weight and space.
And you were right that skill universities are not taken as the mainstream universities, which needs to be highlighted, and it can be done if skills are embedded into the mainstream universities.
Yes.
So you go with academics because you also need such people who are going to higher education for research purposes. We cannot neglect that part also, that we need researchers, good scientists, good philosophers also, who are not very much job oriented in the initial part.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So I now welcome Manish ji to please, because he is already heading, to organizations and companies, Skilling India, Peak India, which mainly deal with imparting skills. So please, Manish ji, you share what are your thoughts on this?
Thank you, Dr. Vaneeta, and thank you, Professor Sancheti and Ramanan sir. I think a couple of points I want to highlight. A lot has been covered by both of you. I think one of the things which I want to highlight is, if you look at the career paths of the past, they were fairly well-defined career paths. But if you look at career paths of today and the future, a person is expected to move across various job roles. But more importantly, they will be doing during their span of career jobs that don't even exist yet. So new jobs will come into picture. A lot of existing job roles have been disappearing, and that will accelerate over the next few years. And as newer job roles come into play, what the person should have got skilled on while they were studying in the university becomes a little uneven, especially when they are not learning how to learn. So if I look at the number of people, for example, who are entering the workforce every year, we have about 80 lakh odd people who graduate every year, another maybe 15 lakh students who complete their post-graduation, plus a lot of distance education, diploma programs, and so on. They are looking at about 1 crore people entering the workforce every year after completing their studies. And for a lot of jobs, the respective stream that they are studying in the university are not very material. So they are actually competing with almost everyone else in the market. And that's where every additional competency, every additional skill that they can develop while they are at campus or even outside the campus becomes important. As Professor Sancheti said, even if you look at Excel as a skill, it's a skill which earlier not many people required, but now probably it is the #1 skill which everyone should learn. So as Dr. Sancheti, you have done in Maroda University, we at Skilling India and Peak Mind have also identified kind of top 10 future skills that we are focusing on. And a lot of it is actually around mental well-being, resilience, stress tolerance, and so on, which is something which we have been seeing people lack. And these are skills which are not formally taught. So we call it under a broader bucket of emotional empowerment, apart from various hard skills, analytical ability, out-of-box thinking, communication, humility, collaboration, and so on. But emotional empowerment as a specific skill and a goal is what we are looking to focus on, how to make these available in a structured form. So if you look at the brief history of development of skills, earlier we had in the 1950s when education was not very accessible. Then it became accessible as we got more hard skills. And then 2000 onwards, there was a lot of focus on soft skills and communication becoming the differentiator. But 2025 and beyond, as machines become more sophisticated, they take on more of the job roles which humans have been doing. We need to develop the skills that actually make us human, and we need to excel at what makes us human. So specific skills that we are helping colleges and universities and even schools develop and impart in their ecosystem are skills like developing a positive mindset, developing self-confidence, learning about stress. How do you manage your stress? How do you manage time? How do you create trust, empathy, letting go? And an ability to develop passion. So how do you develop passion in a structured form? How do you cultivate curiosity in a structured form? How do you develop ownership and accountability in a structured form? Things like these are what we believe can be a very important addition and should be a very important addition to the curriculum at all schools, colleges, and university level. These are hardest to learn and habit formation takes time. So we are working with them to start early and make sure that by the time the students are actually hitting the job market, these become part of their DNA. There are a lot of things which people do. They learn at the college, the curriculum. There are a lot of value-added programs which colleges offer, and both in terms of hard skills, skills like Tally, which I was reading earlier, or Excel or Python and so on. But in addition to those, if we are formally teaching all of these emotional and emotional intelligence skills, they will go a long way in making the person grow in their career, grow into leadership roles, and perform well, not just at a professional level, but also at a personal and family level. So in the limited time, I just wanted to highlight this. Apart from the domain skills, what can we incorporate both as curriculum as value-added programs? And what we normally believe that some of these are not skills that you learn. These are skills that you have. So if someone has a positive mindset, they have a positive mindset. But what we have realized is these are skills which are learnable. They can be formally taught, and they are not something which require, let's say, a full 5 credit course. But each of these skills can be taught in a structured way, and they can be incorporated in the DNA of a person. So that's what I just wanted to highlight as an important aspect.
Thank you, Manish. Yeah, that's very right. After having learned all the hard skills, employable skills, and being in a job, then the real struggle starts to deal
Correct.
with your manager, to deal with your peers, to deal with the colleagues, to deal with the family pressure, to make the work-life balance. And there, these kind of soft skills really are important to be able to face the challenges which are not taught in the university, but which are sometimes, you are right, are inborn, or sometimes your family is such that you imbibe these kind of qualities. But not everybody is able to. Everybody is inborn with certain qualities, and not everybody is perfect. So it's very, very important. It should be overall grooming of a person. Employable
And
skills plus.
if you look at it, Dr. Vaneeta, a lot of employers, especially the large employers that exist today, for them, graduation is a checkbox. A lot of them don't really care what stream you have graduated in. It's like a checkbox. Some of them have actually stopped using that checkbox altogether. What they are really looking at is how affable you are, how well you communicate, how positive you are in face of challenges, and so on. And that is something which is not necessarily innate. And when it can be formally taught, it becomes our duty to kind of make that available to our students and make sure that they are learning it. Some of them will learn it faster, some of them will learn it slower, but over a period of time, it can definitely be cultivated in everyone.
Sure. Thank you so much, Manish ji. So I will culminate this session with a thanking note to Ramanan sir, Sancheti sir, and yourself. It has been a great session, and I look forward for more such sessions. Just got busy, Sancheti sir. It had been like 6-7 months since I did this webinar after my last one, and I was actually missing these kinds of interactions. So I thought, why not to organize? And thanks so much for accepting the invite and coming on board. It's always learning experience to hear you and Ramanan sir and like Manish ji came. So it's always a new learning.
I would say thanks to you, because we are all part of the skills ecosystem. For example, Ramanan sir has created thousands of labs, and I was talking about those virtual, online, and excitements which are required in blended mode that will be delivered through them. If at all there are, super fine finishing points are required, Manish ji was talking about many of them. In some other way, students come in our control for 3-4 years, so we can also kind of empower them with some of the new things which I have learned today. So it's a win-win for all of us, and I'm sure when I think deeply, the life survival is only when you are fully skillful in the domains in which you are working. Knowledge, yes, is at the back end, and it keeps working, it keeps driving what is right and wrong, but skill delivers it. Skill is the real thing in that sense. So very happy to learn all that from all the experts and you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add, I met Dr. Sandeep at when at Manipal. And what struck to me was his tremendous energy and enthusiasm at his age for tinkering and learning. He was sharing with me, how he goes about and actually experiments and does some of the technology projects himself. And I think that is the fundamental requirement today. Though we call it World Youth Skills Day, I think the youthful part of any person is when they are able to have this spirit of learning, curiosity, and wanting to acquire new skills which are becoming relevant. Because in medicines or even on food, there is an expiry date of the food and the medicine, but we never put an expiry date on our education certificates and whatever we have learned in the past. And many things that we have learned in the past have to be unlearned, and then you have to learn new things. And I think that is what the Skills Day should epitomize, the ability, the passion and the thirst for acquiring new skills constantly because you want to be relevant. And I saw this beautiful saying in Chicago, Industrial Science Museum, when I visited in Chicago, the National Science and Technology Museum, where the first thing they have said is, it is tools which have created the changes that we are seeing in today's world. Right. And that whole thing is about tools. How mankind invented tools and how they acquired the skills to use the tools, because it's not just enough inventing the tools. How do you acquire the skills to use the tools, apply them, and then go further and further forward? As today, just this week, they have been able to go into space. What a wonderful thing. And it's all innovation of many tools and many technologies and many inventions coming together and being able to cross borders and frontiers that we have only imagined. So thank you so much, Dr. Vaneeta, for giving me also an opportunity and for sharing the platform with Manish ji as well as Sandeep ji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Vaneeta. Thank you, Ramanan sir.